Okay. It looks like we are live. 5,000 subscriber celebration. As voted by you guys on the tab about a couple weeks ago, you said, hey, let's do an Ask Me Anything, because I offered giveaways, I offered other things, and some people said nothing at all, which is really cool. I'm glad that you didn't want to do anything, but I was kind of like, man, probably shouldn't have put that option. I felt slightly hurt by that option. But all that to say this is Dale here at Self Publishing with Dale podcast. And I do appreciate each and every single one of you that have followed, viewed, subscribed to this channel, especially if you subscribe. Now, if you're a channel member, you find out more channel memberships down in the description down below, or hit the join button. I really appreciate you helping out and support the cause. Thank you so much. It's been a bit since I've actually streamed on this channel. Earlier this week, I did a simulcast where we went live on Cyber Monday, talked about some of the deals, and then I left up a clipped up portion of us putting together a low content book. By the way, stay tuned. I'm actually making that book even better, and I'm actually going to see about launching it. So I want to say what's up and how's it going to everybody that happened to show up live. If you didn't show up live, well, just make sure you stay tuned because I'm sure there's going to probably be some questions, concerns, and comments that roll out. And if there's no questions, then I guess this is one sorry excuse for an Ask Me Anything. So ask me anything. Literally, I'm telling you, ask me anything. Let's keep it family friendly. I know some of you out there want to have a good time and such and take the piss out of me, but let's keep it all clean as possible. PG, if you will. What's up, SD Houston? Shannon's always great to see you. SL Michaels, how you doing, Samantha? Great to see you. Author Stipe Lozina, hey Dale, nice to see you this evening. Author Stipe, it's fantastic to see you too. Susan Montgomery, congrats on 5,000. Thank you so much. I am not a cat. Boo. Are you trying to scare me? It's not the right season. You missed that about, a couple months ago. Galen says, don't say that to me. I'll take this too far, Dale. Galen, you have a knack for questions, and I think and folks, if you guys get the opportunity, go find Galen Michael over on Twitter, always posting some great questions. Some of them are very thought-provoking, and gets a lot of engagement. Kudos to you. Your Twitter game's on point. I'm telling you. Cat in the box. Yeah. So I got myself a glass of water. Let's get it. You guys got questions, run them on out. Nothing's off the table. Rini, how you doing? Got here in time. Glad to see you. And you were out in Vegas and we didn't get a chance to cross paths. That sucks. I was out there for 20 books. We could have definitely come across each other. Yeah, let's go ahead and address one thing. A lot of people I've been getting, I would say at least semi-weekly basis, where I get some requests for consults. I will not be doing consultations till probably deeper into 2023. I've said generally speaking 2023, but with the book releases that I have planned for 2023, my brain is focused on that. So I don't think I'll probably be available for any consultations until probably closer to February, if not probably March or April. It's because I want to take care of my own business. It's great to help out other people and such, but at the end of the day, I'm an author. Consultant comes after the word author, and video creator as well. Butcher Respawn, how you doing? Don't at me. Hi, congrats on 5,000. I'm sorry, Butcher Respawn. I just added you technically. What's your thoughts on Twitter? Okay. I like this question. See, that's what I mean by ask me anything. Let's just have a little bit of fun. I check Twitter, I probably say way too many times throughout the course of the day. In fact, so much so that I had uninstalled Twitter from my phone back in January this year. And it's been kind of a welcome change. But the problem is my brain goes into social media mode sometimes, and I think it's just searching for some type of a dopamine drip of some sort, and you get that through social media. And so every now and then I find myself going to my bookmark for Twitter just to kind of check the feed. So now I purposely limit myself to 2 times per day for Twitter, going on there twice. The only occasions that I'll go on more than twice is typically if I'm communicating with somebody that I need kind of get, something wrapped up in some capacity. Facebook's somewhat the same, although I don't find myself attracted to it. Now, as far as the whole thing with Elon Musk picking up Twitter and what he's doing with the platform, it's a mess. It's a mess. I am not paying $8 or $9 to have a verified check next to my name. If you guys see self-pub with Dale over on Twitter, that's me. That's it. Case closed. In order to validate or verify who I am, if I've got to pay money for it, no, stop, Elon. I'd actually was thinking about using the platform for ads because with him acquiring the company and a lot of the changes that happened when he came to the company, a lot of advertisers just bowed out, and it would lead me to believe, and please, if anybody does Twitter ads, let me know, correct me, because I'm not a pro at this. Never done Twitter ads in my life. The competition would probably be way less right now. So maybe it's probably time for some of us authors to maybe experiment with some book ads over on Twitter. I don't want to try any ads yet, because if I do start doing ads, I want to do it on my fiction brand, not the nonfiction brand. I'm noticing right now, and this is just across the board with a lot of the nonfiction self-publishing books, they're just not performing as well as they used to. And this goes for a lot of even like the heavy hitters, the people that do pull in a fair chunk of change on that. They're not really selling that well. So to me, I'm just not going to spend the money to send the traffic there. Those are just going to probably be mainly passive, and I'll probably use Amazon ads. But Twitter, yeah, I'm going to stick around. I don't think it's going anywhere, but Elon at any moment could just pull the plug and just say, you know what, there's my $44 billion down the drain. Oh, well. So there's my thoughts on that one. What do you guys think about Twitter? Say so inside the chat. Okay, so Galen says, in a couple of videos, I've noticed a guitar behind you. Do you play? Not as much as I should be. I've been playing since I was 13 years old, and prior to that, I was actually playing a trombone since I was 9? Yeah, 9 or 10. So it was about for like 3 or 4 years prior to that I was playing trombone. But I fell in love with rock at a pretty early age. But then it really started to develop into like, I really liked heavier music, and I still could enjoy, and even to this day, I enjoy pop music and funk, and I do enjoy some rap as well. I don't enjoy a lick of country music. I just literally can't get into it. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it. But yes, so the guitars you saw in the background, this is a funny story behind this one. Now, please forgive me. I have not picked this up in a while, so it's probably way out of tune. Yeah, it sounds a little flat. But at any rate, this is a Fender FA115. It actually was something I won at a generic Dave & Buster's place called Scene 75. And to be honest with you, I just go to play the games. Like, I just enjoy coin pusher games and things like that. I'd found out that this guitar is carried on Amazon, so I'm part of the Amazon Influencer program, meaning that if I upload any videos to be used as shoppable videos just above the reviews on a product page, and someone watches 30 seconds or more of that and then makes a purchase, I get a percentage of that. Now, I don't remember what musical instruments is. It might be like 2% or something like that. It's not fantastic, but I've definitely made the money back and some, because I've gone through and I've changed the strings on them for some strings that actually are sold on Amazon. I did some for fret oil. Like the fret oils pulled me in hundreds. Like, it's crazy. The bottle probably cost me like $18, but then it's brought in way more. I've got another generic one. It's actually, I was just bored one day and I was like, I really wanted an acoustic guitar and I didn't have that Fender. But I ordered this, and I'm sorry, it's way out of reach right now. Ashthorpe, I think, is the name of the company, and like the acoustic was like $80, and it was electric acoustic with a cutaway at the very bottom. And then the other guitar that I have in my possession, you might have seen it from time to time switch out. It's a Epiphone Nighthawk, and that's actually I'm thinking it's a 98 or a 99 model. It's actually my brother's technically. Now I've got a half of a guitar. The guitar's there. It just needs a lot of work and a lot more electronics in it. That was another one I'd won actually at Dave & Buster's, and then I had a friend of mine go and paint it. I was going to go take it and put it into the shop and get it fixed, but, I just haven't been playing guitar that much. I've just been so focused on just writing that I'd say this is probably the first time I've really even picked this up, and I would say forever. Yeah, I'm sorry. Way out of practice and way out of tune. So we're just not going to even try to embarrass myself here on air. Great question. Thank you so much for asking. I love guitars. There's a few things that you will know about me. One, I love reading, I love music, and I love wrestling. If there was one that I would pick over all of them, I would say it's always going to come back to music. Whether I'm playing it or listening to it, there's something that I can truly escape within. Reading books can do that, but it involves so much more focus and so much more time and attention. And whereas with music, I feel it's so passive, especially just if you want to just listen to it. And I can just take like a single song that could be 2.5 minutes, and it could just change my entire mood. It can just make me feel better. It can, it can just take me away from whatever situation. I've always found music to just be such a comforting thing to me. That's not to say that reading or writing is any less. I just always say the music, for whatever reason, has always been the thing that I like to go to for escapism. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I probably should have a channel based on music, right? Keep the questions coming. And by the way, you're watching this on the replay. Please drop a question on down there, and I will be answering the questions inside the comments. All right. Goth Bricks 2000 says, late to the party, but thoughts on a realistic production budget first self-published fiction novel, editing, cover, etc. Okay. Geez. Goth Bricks, you would have to give me a better idea as to how many words. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you kind of an overall understanding. The very first thing is to actually just produce it yourself and write it. It shouldn't cost a dime. Whether you have Microsoft Word or you're using Google Docs, or if you feel like ponying up the money and getting something like Atticus or Vellum or anything else like that, you can always, write within that software or whatnot. But I'm just going to say, when you're writing this stuff, you shouldn't have to pay a dime. The next thing is going to go into editing, and we're just going to throw editing, beta reading, proofreading, formatting. We'll put formatting off to the side for a second. Editing, a good editor, unfortunately, it's just tough to put down a price on them. Some of them will charge by the hour. Some will charge by the word. No one way is better than the other. So, for instance, my fiction and nonfiction editors, both separate people, actually charge by the hour for me. It would be so much more expensive if I would go and do the by the word, especially for the number of edits that I go through. Now, this depends a large amount of this is going to depend on how much edits you're going to need, because simply going through one edit and then I'm done. Kudos to you. You've got, a brass set on you, to be honest. I almost always go through, I will get a developmental edit done first, meaning does everything structurally work together? Am I missing something within here, or am I adding too much that I need to pull out? Now, I'm speaking in broad terms because, again, this depends on fiction or nonfiction. Fiction, developmental editing, I have found, is so much more difficult than, say, a nonfiction book. Because if you go into a nonfiction book with at least some rough structure and an outline of what you're going to do, fairly simple. I still find that I can have an outline and write in fiction, and things can go haywire. Because I'm slightly of a discovery writer, but I'm also a bit of a plotter. You know, I have to have just a tiny bit of plotting. Every now and then, if I'm excited about an idea in fiction, I'll just write down a general 2 or 3 sentence blurb about it. So then I just kind of keep in mind what I'm doing, and I just go through discovery writing, boom, 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 and I just fly through it. With a lot more of the plotting, it takes a little bit longer. But at any rate, you got your developmental. As soon as the developmental edit comes back to you, it's going to be up to you to fix those developmental issues. And then you're going to probably want to send it back to have at least another round of developmental edits if you don't feel like, is this what you mean? Because that's sometimes what I got to do. Is this what you mean? Like one of those instances. Now, if you find that the development is great, it's all dialed in, then you're going to want to make sure you're going through and getting some type of copy editing done, meaning going through and tearing apart some of the sentences, the typos, the grammatical errors, any kind of miswording or misuse of words. This is the part that I think a lot of people jump right to when developmental should always be addressed right out the gate. So you're going to be paying for developmental editing. You're going to be paying for the copy editing, and then potentially line editing, meaning going through making sure everything is complete line by line. And typically after developmental edits, I will send my work off to beta readers, because then I'm just going to have them tear apart, find all the typos and grammatical errors, because then I can clean that up and then send that back in for copy edits without having to spend as much money by the hour on my editor. So we got the editing done. Remember, I'm looking at about 3 rounds altogether. Beta readers don't cost a dime, by the way. They should never cost you any money. If you find a really good beta reader that you don't want to let go, definitely pay for them. But I would say, you know, get yourself 2 to 3 beta readers. Dean Wesley Smith said at a recently 20 books conference here that I went to that he didn't believe in beta readers, but he always had one advanced reader that would go through and pick apart those things. So let me think here. You go into formatting, it gets real dicey, because you could format the book yourself. There's numerous like tutorials online. In fact, I believe we have some in our course as well as over on our website. But you could do interior formatting for free. Me, I hire out anymore. That can cost anywhere from as low as $100 to as much as $800 to $1,000. It just depends on how much work you want put into that. Last but not least, you got your covers. That can range anywhere from as little as, say, $5 to as much as $1,200 to get them done. I've got a full podcast that I've done about a price breakdown and what you can kind of anticipate. That was kind of a overview of what I ended up sharing. I'd recommend go back and watch that. Overall, though, let's just say you're like, Dale, I just need a simple answer, man. How much do I need to put aside? If you put aside, I would say $3,000, that would still be a lot of money. Okay, that would be almost an excessive amount of money. But I would say with that $3,000, it's almost like going into flipping a home. You know, you're going to end up flipping the home. Let's say you buy the home for, let's say, $100,000, but you're going to want to make sure that you have, say, $30,000 to $50,000 more in renovations and pop-up things that might go wrong there. I want you to think of it the same way. I've heard of some people that have sunk as much as $10,000 into a book launch. I wouldn't recommend that at all, especially if you're a new author. So new authors, I would say you could realistically, if you really were scrappy and resourceful, $1,000 If you had about $1,000, that would be probably more than sufficient, but it would be snug in some certain areas. Save your budget for a great cover and an excellent editor. The rest of the work, figure out on your own. If you run out of a budget, figure it out. There's so much that you're going to have to learn to do as a new author, but if you learn it, yeah, the struggle's real. It sucks at first. But once you learn it, you get over that hump, and then you're going to be able to do it again and again and again. Sorry, I went a little long on that question. It's such a good question, honestly. I get it a lot. With the big guys moving out, maybe more of a chance for us little guys. That's my hope. That's my hope. Twitter has become a political platform. TikTok has been so far the best place to promote your book. I'm hearing so much great things about authors succeeding over on TikTok. And if you're doing good over there, keep at it. You might see me over here doing really good with YouTube. And it's not that I don't see TikTok as a viable avenue for authors. I just have to be selective with my time. And I recommend that to each and every single one of you. And unfortunately, to me, YouTube has more value to me than what TikTok does. So I spend far less time there. I do check it every now and then for any kind of comments and such. I will be probably dropping in a new mini series here pretty soon with Fiverr, a 6-part mini series. But that's going to pop up here on YouTube, Instagram Reels, as well as TikTok. Sci-fi. Oh, I picked up Vellum on sale and it's magical. Question is mostly around those third-party services. Yeah, if you go in to get a cover done, I've got quite a few cover design artists that I would recommend off the top of my head. Go with Miblart. They've been a dream to work with. And this is not just because they've sponsored me and are current sponsors of the channel, but it's that I just don't foresee using anybody else unless I found myself super strapped for cash, and then I would look over into the Fiverr alternatives. So Miblart, go over to dalelinks.com/Miblart. That's MIBLART, and use the coupon code DALE10 to take 10% off your order. Here's the really cool part about their services. If you are unsure if you want to work with them, that's okay. Take them for a test drive. They actually will draft a rough design for you to see if you guys are going to gel really well together. Now, that doesn't work for all the services, but their normal cover design services will do that. That's really freaking cool to me. Follow their channel, by the way. The other one is if you're a little bit more strapped for cash, go to dalelinks.com/list. And then that's the list of all the Fiverr sellers that I've personally used. Please, I need for everybody, if you could, this is so awesome. Big shout out to one of the viewers that actually reached out to me over on Facebook about this. If any of those sellers do you wrong, like they don't deliver your service, or they just ghost you altogether, or it doesn't turn out really well, I want to know. They've worked out really well for me. Some of them, though, I only used them maybe once or twice for a video, and beyond that, I haven't used them that much. So if they get something wrong, first of all, make sure you really do your due diligence and find out, okay, is this person okay? Like, why are they ghosting me? Okay, if there are orders in their queue and they're continuing to fulfill these things and they're not doing mine, something might be wrong here. So in any event, yeah, please just let me know. I just pulled off one of the sellers because they ghosted one of you guys. I don't like that. That doesn't reflect really well upon me. So they got pulled off the list. You are no longer on the list. I love Atticus. You know, I need to jump into Atticus as well. Yes, Galen says it really, really well. Go with whatever platform you can do the best. Facebook doesn't treat him well, but Twitter does. So that's where he's going to promote. So yeah, that's such a great thing. You're going to hear so many people that go, ooh, I've got great success promoting on Facebook. I got great success on Twitter. I've got it on TikTok. I got it on YouTube. Here's the beauty of this business. It's not one size fits all. And you're going to need to try out some stuff for yourself. Even if for whatever reason you heard someone say, oh, Facebook's the worst place to go and promote books, and you like Facebook and you like to contribute there and you like the community that is there, then go there. Don't worry about what other people say. Everybody's experience is going to vary. And if you just go ahead and shut off your life to those avenues that you're most interested in pursuing, then you're doing yourself a great disservice. So, love that. Quote of the day. I see there's about 11 of you guys hanging out. You got questions, please fire away. This is not an ask me anything unless I'm actually answering questions. Editing and cover were my main budget issues. Yeah. And the software purchases, Pro Writing Aid, AutoCrit, all things Kindlepreneur. Yeah. The nice thing is, though, if you buy Pro Writing Aid, and I don't know if they got the Black Friday deal anymore. Sorry if you missed out on the Black Friday deal for Pro Writing Aid. But when you get that lifetime deal, honestly, it's amazing. Love the software. Actually, I was just using it just prior to getting on here because I was just wrapping up a quick copy edit before I sent it off to the beta readers. This is the second round for my beta readers because there were some developmental issues that they were able to kind of poke into the episode. Gothbricks, don't you worry about hogging questions. Fire away. I will stay on here as long as you guys keep on asking questions. You stop asking questions, I'm going to just cut the live feed. Don't mean to hog, but any opinions on Readsy? Ooh, love me some Readsy. Absolutely. First of all, if you are not subscribed to the channel, go subscribe to Readsy on YouTube and go over to their website and get signed up for Ricardo's email newsletter. You just go to Readsy and it'll have like subscribe to their newsletter. Subscribe to it. They have such great content. They do not cloud your email inbox with a bunch of just meaningless, irrelevant things. They're really great at what they do. Readsy, believe it or not, and this is some of you out there, if you're a bit more cash strapped, pay really close attention to this one. Readsy has something called Readsy Editor, I believe. I could be off on that. Please, anybody watching this, correct me inside the comments. But Readsy Editor is their browser-based word processing software. So essentially, if you want to create an ebook or a print book or something else like that, you could literally just type it in natively. I think, and this is another one I just don't use enough, I believe Readsy Editor also, it kind of functions as a cloud storage. So in other words, if you're in the midst of working on something, you can just pause and just come back to it later. Now, I don't know how well it handles images or anything else like that. So I would say it works really well for any fiction or nonfiction authors that really just need something to kind of write in. Personally, I would almost rather lean in favor of something like Google Docs over Readsy Editor. But if you're on the website already using some of the resources, then it's already there. But great, fantastic resource. Actually, man, it just reminds me, I need to reach out to them. We'd actually collaborated on, I think, a blog post about 3 or 4 years ago, but it's been radio silent since. Now, a little bit of an insight. There's actually a service called Readsy Discovery, and it's kind of like a BookBub-ish, Goodreads-ish type platform. Now, I don't want to say it's got the numbers of BookBubs. We can all agree BookBub is just untouchable in that area. But Readsy Discovery has other authors and some readers and such. And when you want to go and promote an upcoming book release, you can go through them. And it's essentially like a popularity contest, though, because you need to bring people along for the party and have them upvote your book. Because if they upvote you enough for that given week, you will actually get your book promoted out to a larger reader base at the very top placement inside the email that goes out. I was very fortunate that, I got new books coming in. Amazon Keywords for Books was one of the ones I tested out in Discovery. I need to go back through and try out Readsy Discovery again. It really, they're doing a good job with it. I would love to see it grow and such, but thumbs up, big thumbs up. Love me some Readsy. They're even endorsed by the Alliance of Independent Authors, which to get an endorsement by them means that you've got to be straight as an arrow. You got to be as good as you say you are. Author Stipe Luzina says, do you have some new book marketing avenues you can recommend? Yes. I don't want to say recommend, but some that have come to my attention more recently. And I'm going to be speaking to somebody this coming week over at this very first company. So let's just transition on over here. Hang on, I'm on the wrong screen. So look at you guys get to see what I look at over here. So display capture. I should have fixed this before we went on. There we go. Okay, excellent. So one of the very first platforms I'm going to bring to your attention is written word media. Now this is not my endorsement, all right? I'm just telling you about what I'm finding and what I'm digging into, and I'll be speaking with the CEO this coming week. So they actually are kind of like a Justice League of smaller book promotion websites and services. So they have just a ton of great resources on this one. Yeah, so it's free Booksy, Bargain Booksy, Reader Reach ads, New In Books, Red Feather Romance. All of these are sites and services they put together, and then they have one big thing. Jeff Sturm, thank you so much for becoming a podcast patron. Make sure that you go over to the main channel landing page, and underneath membership, you'll see all of the latest videos. Because there's a lot of behind the scenes footage you do not want to miss out for a book rescue season. Written word media would be one of them. Give me just a second here. There has been a couple more brought to my attention. Ooh, okay, here's one of them. I did this one with a client recently, booksirens.com. And I also helped out, and this was not revealed inside the book rescue finale for season 2. I actually threw in a little bit of money to find out how it would work with Book Sirens. Now, Book Sirens will get you the reviews, and it's not necessarily going to be all about, promoting your book per se, but to me, I always throw reviews in with book promotion because the more social validation that you can get, the better. The social proof, excuse me. So, yeah, Book Sirens is another one. I always talk about story origin. I mean, ad nauseum. Like, folks, I've seen Evan, the founder, start this pretty much from scratch and just build it up. It's an amazing platform, and it continues to evolve. If you're part of the service and you ever feel something's missing or should change, I would recommend you reach out to support, because it goes directly to the one and only person who works with Story Origin. And Evan is just a stand-up, good quality guy. Tap into the group promos as well as the newsletter swaps. I plan to do that next year once I get done with the Kindle Vella series and start to actually publish some full-length books. Yeah, great question, by the way. So many of them. I would say look into written word media first. It's interesting, to say the least. Dale, what are your thoughts on Pubbie? Okay, Pubbie's an interesting one. Actually, I did mention Pubbie back in Amazon Keywords for Books. No, Amazon Reviews for Books. I mentioned it, but didn't endorse it. So there's Pubbie.co, and then more recently, over the last year or so, GetBooksReviewed.com. How the service works is, and I want to be very delicate about how I present this, because I don't want you guys to think, man, he's just contradicting himself. The issue with those platforms is you have to read somebody's book in order to get credits that you can redeem in order to get someone to read your book and get reviews. I don't personally have the time to fool with something like that. I would much rather just go the organic route and ask my email list and things like that. But I do understand some new authors that really struggle to get 15 reviews or more on launch day might look at this as a great alternative. The question is it safe? Now you're probably saying, whoa, wait a second. Why would I use a service that's unsafe, Dale? Okay, let's start out with the issue of review swaps. Now, review swaps were really big when I first broke into the business. How it would work is I and another author would exchange books. We were then to read the books and provide a review. However, it soon became abused. It was a system that was just flawed, because then it just turns into a full quid pro quo. And so then people were hiring virtual assistants to swap with other virtual assistants and just tossing all these fake reviews. And eventually Amazon's like, stop, look, don't do that. It's bad. There's bias involved that. You know that other person, so you shouldn't be leaving them a review. Fair. That's totally fine. What happens is, though, if they find these authors doing that review swap system, they will remove privileges. This happened to me back in about June of 2015 because I was massively into review swapping. And they shut it down. And when I tried to push back on it, they were like, look, we know what you were doing. And if you'd like to, pursue this further, we can do that, but it might not turn out good for you. And so I was like, okay, enough said. They removed my review privileges. I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody in Amazon headquarters has watched enough of my videos to know that, I don't do that type of stuff anymore, but I got my review privileges back maybe about 2 years ago. And so I make sure that I'm very careful about my reviews. All that to say this. The platform like Pubby or like Get Books Reviewed works like this. Authors go to that platform and they put their books available for review. In order to get a review for your book, you have to read somebody else's book and provide a review for that book. All right? And you will be given a certain amount of credits that you can redeem to get your book placed in front of somebody to get a review. So, in essence, it's a way of doing author review swaps, but here's what happens. There is an intermediary. There is someone right here in the middle that is arranging this relationship. They're collecting the money. So then therefore the bias is removed. We're not paying for reviews. We're paying for a service that allows us to have access to readers who will leave reviews for us. Those readers are not paid reviewers. Now we can make the whole argument of people are still incentivized because if I read this book and I get it done and do a review, then I can go ahead and get it. I get that argument. That's totally fine. Very valid. I would like to think that if you use those services, you wouldn't be that type of a dirtbag. Read the person's book. Give an honest review. If you feel it like it's too low, reach out to the author and express that, hey, you need some work done on this, and I don't feel comfortable in leaving you a 2 or 1 star review. Up to you. My thought is you put your stuff up there and you ask for a review. Post your honest thoughts. That's really what you should be doing. So for me, I feel like it's just not a good use of my time. I don't want to read somebody else's book and feel forced to read that person's book in order to get my book reviewed. I would rather take that time and maybe go do some marketing in-person events. Maybe I go and do a workshop at a local library, or maybe I do a live broadcast. I think there's just so many more productive ways for us to get reviews. But I totally understand there are some new authors that will need this. Notice I say new authors anytime I'm referring to things like this. It's not to say that experienced or veteran authors can't use these services, but again, so that's my thoughts. A big shout out to Debbie Siebert over at Get Books Reviewed. She's been a gem, and she's really she helped out both of our book rescue guests from season 1 and season 2. So, and we're right now in the middle of a year-long case study with Sarah Walday in that company. All right, I've got some more here. And if you got questions, please fire away and put a Q in front of it so that way I don't miss it. Question: I'm very interested in publishing China. Publish Drive. I have no experience with the process and found it confusing. Have you ever published in China? If so, what was the process like? I am not a cat. Use Publish Drive. They've got a direct pipeline to them for all types of publications of print, paperback specifically. There's no hardcover. And it is limited trim sizes. I can't remember how many, but it's a sufficient amount. You got ebook and you got audiobook that will go to China. The issue is, will Chinese distributors take that or order that? It's the same kind of thought process as Ingram Spark, where they have distribution of 40,000 plus online retailers and brick and mortar stores. And you have the availability to those stores doesn't necessarily mean they're going to order this. Because think of this, there's millions of people that are uploading to this platform. Do you think a store is going to take every single one of those things? No. If a reader comes in, though, let's say to this mom and pop shop that gets distribution through Ingram Content Group, that they show up and say, hey, I want Dale's latest book. Oh, yeah, here we go. They pull it up. We'll go ahead and order it right now, and we'll get it delivered to the store. So it does make that stuff available. Any rate, though, yeah, you'll get the distribution through China that way, through Publish Drive. I don't know of another way yet. I would suspect the aggregate publishing platform called StreetLib will probably be the next to the game. StreetLib is on fire right now. They continue to grow their reach and their tools that they're offering. And yeah, it's keep an eye on StreetLib, folks. I see big things happening for them here sometime in the next few years for sure. Christine Gorley says, Puppy for me has worked well so far. Is there a downside to using Puppy? I don't see a downside because, again, when you're using a service like that, it's removing the bias. You are not directly exchanging. And in fact, to my knowledge, I know Get Books Reviewed has this. Puppy as well, I think, has this to where if you read another author's book, your books will be blocked from that author. So they won't be able to read it. So there will never be a direct exchange. So this keeps it to where it's always like you're going to get a wild card. You're not going to get like an author that has already reviewed your book. This really puts the onus and the responsibility on that platform to make sure that they continue to drive more authors to that platform. So that way people can continue to get reviews without, triggering the system or running out of, books to read. And that would suck. But I assure you, though, there's probably tons on Puppy alone. Fun fact, actually, and I'm not sure if you looked at this on the About page. I read this some time ago. The founder of Puppy was actually a former employee for CreateSpace. Now, if you're not familiar with CreateSpace, that essentially was KDP Print before KDP Print was around. Oh, I loved CreateSpace. I missed the days of CreateSpace. Jeff Sturm said, join your channel because your videos have really helped me, and I need help with my low content books. Fire away if you got some questions, concerns, and comments. I did post a tutorial using BookBolt this past Monday on the podcast channel. On the main channel, I will be doing a full video. It should be coming out this coming week where I actually will be taking some of the footage that I used using BookBolt, and we're actually going to go ahead and publish one of those. So stay tuned for that one. It should be a fun little video. Ooh, SD Houston says, Written Word Media's free book season, awesome book promotion. Nice. I'm checking Story Origin when I get back home. Nice. Please, if you do go check out Story Origin, please use my affiliate link. It's dalelinks.com/Story Origin. Let me just type this into the chat. Oops. And sometimes I know how to type. There we go. I went ahead and dropped that on into the chat. You got questions, please fire away. Shannon says, Voracious Readers Only is a good program, especially for new authors to get book reviews. There we go. See, look, the company connects your work to readers. You provide an art copy in hopes to get reviews. Many of my readers have left reviews. For one time in your author career, you can use Voracious Readers Only for a free 6-week promotion. Nice. So that's definitely something to look into. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shannon. That's fantastic. At the end of the giveaway, you get an email list of your winners. You send them the book. Oh, that's really, really cool. Oh, I skipped forward. I'm thinking that was the same thing here. Let me come to your next comment here just a second. Tom, what's going on, buddy? Hang on a second. I got a book somewhere around here. Hey, there it is. Shout out to Tom McAuliffe. He's been a channel member for a while now, and partially the person to blame when it comes to pressuring me to come back here on the podcast. So if you guys don't like seeing me, I blame this guy. So Tom, he's got a question here. Tom, I'm going to put this back over here so I remember exactly where it's at. I got your other books somewhere up here, but unfortunately I pulled them out to do a thumbnail shoot, and now they're all mixed up. And it is what it is. So, at any rate, do you shave your head? Yes, few men can pull it off, but you do. Thank you so much. You are the Lex Luger of self-publishing. I don't want to be the villain. Can't I be like, give me a hero, not a villain name. Good Lord. Although villains are pretty awesome until they're not. Alrighty. But yes, I do shave it. I've got essentially the receding hairline, and it's just too thin on top. And I said a long time ago, this is back before bald heads were even popular. I was like, if it just gets too thin, I'm just going to shave it off. And I eventually just shaved it off. Funny story about this right here. Here's a personal fun story for you guys. So this was back in around, I would say, late 2010s-ish, between 2010, I would say 2008 to 2009 was I started wearing like a crew cut, and I just was short up top, and it was receding back and such. Any rates, it was about 2008-ish to 2009-ish that I went into the single life, and I started dating and all that type of stuff. And a couple times I'd shaved my head, and I was like, I wasn't quite into it then. And I just went ahead and grew out the crew cut. And in any event, I ran into this girl. I dated her. I don't know. We went out like a couple times or whatever. And she liked bald men. And so I'm like, I shaved it bald before I went, because I was like, I didn't feel like going to the, I wouldn't say hair salon, but it wasn't a barber necessarily. It was like a Great Clips type place. And I was like, it was going to cost me money. So I was just like, screw it. I shaved it off. She liked bald. I went in there, and funny thing is, I really liked it. I kept it shaved, but then I started dating my wife, and she got accustomed to it. And I think there was probably only maybe a couple of occasions that I've ever tried growing it out. And she and I both agree that it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. Now, I get a lot of people go, the beard. Oh, bring back the beard. The beard's tough to maintain, man. I've got really nasty beard dander. I would get so many different types of shampoos and use different oils, and I would comb it every day, and I would really, just get it all. It would just, dander would be all over my shirt all the time. It was just too much to maintain. Honestly, it does keep me warm during the winter, but it's more work than this right here is efficient. It's, you just shave it so you don't have to be bothered with it. So that's the lesson here, folks. You want to be more efficient, shave everything. The other thing is a lot of people will probably laugh, and they probably saw me at 20 books. They're like, oh, Dale probably doesn't have a change of clothes. No, I wear the same clothes all the time, folks. I have a couple of shirts that are not orange, that are non-work. So some days when I just completely take the day off, I'll put on like a Story Origins shirt, or I will put on, StreamYard just sent me a shirt today. I'll wear a StreamYard shirt. But usually anytime I know that I'm going to be working, I typically put this on. Boom, grab it off. Today's work day. Grab off the orange, boom, throw it on, and I just wear some jeans or some shorts. Not a big deal. So I try to get it to where I don't waste any of my creative energy or my time on some of the smallest, most mundane things, such as covering up my naked body. I don't need to think about it. Does it cover it up sufficiently? Fantastic. We're wearing that. Does it represent something that makes me think work? Even easier, because as soon as I put this on, my brain goes into the mode of I have to be working, because I wouldn't be wearing this if I wasn't working. So use that as you want. I'll tell you what, makes it so much easier. All right, so let me come on down here, and if you got questions, please fire off. As soon as there's no more questions, I'm gonna bounce out of here. Yes, Jonathan says, however, newsletter swaps sound legit. Yeah, newsletter swaps, way different than review swaps. Newsletter swaps are fine, so long as you are keeping your list to yourself, and all you're doing is sharing books, deals, and things like that you can comfortably stand behind. So, for instance, if I were to promote to my self-publishing email list, Werebear Shapeshifter wouldn't make any sense. So I wouldn't do a newsletter swap with that person. But yes, newsletter swaps, good. Review swaps, bad, not good. Sylvia Hubbard, what's going on up there from Detroit? How you doing, lady? Great to see you. Jeff says, what is the best way to promote low content books? Have a lot of low content books on a website to help me promote them, and they're not moving. Spend a lot of time creating my books. The very first thing I would have to know is, what are the books? What's the niche that you're in? How do your covers look? What's the proven performance? I see far too many people that are going into low content book publishing and they're just going all in. They're like, I published 1,000 books in the first month and I'm getting nothing. Well, there's your first mistake. Why don't you take it one book at a time and make sure it sells before you go and move on to the next? That's going to be my biggest critique and criticism of most people. But I hear you're really looking at this as a business. So to me, I would start to think about, how do I build out this brand in a way that makes sense, that answers someone's pain point? If you're merely building a brand on journals, what's unique about those journals? Why can't I go to, say, Walmart and just pick up something cheaper? What's going to make you stand apart from the pack? Be a unique idea. Is it an activity book? Is it going to be a coloring book? Is it going to be, let's say, a planner or maybe a scheduler or any of those number of things? Now, think about how you're building out that brand. And then what I would say is get a couple of peers to take a look at it. Great community to come and join. And I'm going to drop this inside the chat here. Come join us over on Discord. More recently, Brian Meeks joined. And there's actually an Ask Meeks channel for everybody. If you've got questions for Brian Meeks, drop it in there. And you don't know who he is, he's a prolific author amongst the nonfiction and fiction world who's most famously known for writing excellent book descriptions. In fact, I actually heard him endorsed twice while I was at 20 Books. Discord. Boom. I wouldn't be surprised he's not popping in to watch this too. So coming back over here to Jeff, as far as promoting your stuff, Amazon ads would probably be the very first thing I would think about. I would run one automatic ad on your best performing book. Don't touch your worst performing book. Forget that book. Throw it in the trash. Totally kidding. Because if your worst performing book's pulling in like 10 sales per day, then I would be really upset that you would throw that in the trash. Advertise to the most and best performing book. There's a good reason why it's performing the best. Now, this is assuming you're getting any type of sales. So let's say you're not getting any sales, but say 1 or 2 on this particular title. You're doing something right with this one. So what you got to do is go in and try to understand what made it so successful. What were the elements that you can do in this that you can duplicate and build off from that? Now, I'm not saying you copy and paste book 1 and turn it into book 2 and just change the cover. Don't do that. That's just slimy business right there. So think about how you can kind of build that stuff out. Now, tap into your A+ content. This goes out to everybody, regardless of low content books, fiction or nonfiction. All right. Build out A+ content with text. All right. Your modules need to have text. I see a lot of beautiful pictures, but you guys forget to put the text in there. This is directly coming from Amazon advertising saying that A+ content, text-based content, is indexed. That means that it is being served up in search engine as being viable and relevant traffic. So if you've got keywords that you're already using in your back end, try to organically weave those into text-based modules and then put, of course, images, because everybody loves images. And keep in mind with A+ content, when you go on mobile and you open that up, that is the first thing that the customers see. They'll see your product. The description's not there. A+ content goes there. It's from the publisher and then the description. So definitely take advantage of that. Don't judge me. I have not done my A+ content yet. I know that's bad for me. All right. It's bad Dale. I need to get in there and do that. So get that A+ content dialed in. Come Gosh, the next thing would be is where's your audience? Find where they're at and think of some way that you can contribute, something meaningful. Let's just say, for instance, that you have, I don't know, some math workbooks. Where should you go? A school. Literally go to school. If you got kids, there's an easy end right there. But definitely go to schools. Maybe donate like 50 copies to them and ask them, hey, just one little small favor, could you just leave a review? 50 copies might be a little excessive, but you get the idea. What you want to shoot for is get out there. Maybe your local library, you go over to that library and say, hey, I'm actually a local indie publishing, I run a local indie publishing business, and what I do is math workbooks or kids activity books. And I would love to run a workshop if you don't mind. And chances are very likely they might end up saying yes. Or you might even just say, who do I need to speak to set this up? Libraries are always looking for great resources. And by the way, that gives me a shout out here to Sylvia Hubbard, because she's actually tuning in here. I learned so much on a talk of hers back, it's been a good handful of years ago, where talking about leveraging libraries. Libraries are just an underutilized avenue for a lot of indie authors. And the thing is libraries want to know you're here. Like they want somebody to be proud of. So definitely make yourself known. All right, more questions. I'm not allowed to leave a link on here, am I? No, YouTube's going to end up blocking you. Sorry. Okay, Sylvia, what's going on? Wayne Blinko, how are you, man? Will chat notes be available when this live is over? No, this is just this is just me riffing today, Sylvia. Hopefully you went ahead and they got money. Yes, Sylvia. I need to get Sylvia back on here. She's always just a delight to talk to anyways. Just a genius woman when it comes to marketing and such. Amazing. Go follow Sylvia Hubbard. You will thank me later. Congrats on 5K. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Great to see you. Okay, let me back up here. So what are my goals here for 2023? It's shifted a little bit because I will admit to you that I've bitten off a little bit more than I could chew between trying to balance my work as a YouTube video content creator and being a recently pivoted fiction author. I'm finding that I'm spinning too many plates. There's way too many plates. You know, you add in sponsorships in my regular life. It's been burning the candle at both ends. And that's why I put the podcast on an indefinite hold. We will be back to the weekly Monday broadcasts again going into January. If we find times like this work out really well and you guys start showing up like you are right now, I would be willing to move to a night like this, because then I would just take Monday off. But we might try to go back to Mondays because it's just, I don't know, there was something magical about the Mondays. But that'll be in the new year in January, probably the first full week of January when I'll return the podcast. But all that to say this, that I need to finish up the Vela series. I am right now just shy of halfway through the series. I've shifted my focus from worrying about Kindle Vela as an avenue to dominate and drive a lot of sales and such like that. And I've more focused on just the craft of the writing, because I started to really get stressed about that. And I started to really worry about that stuff. And then I started to hyper fixate on just the fiction writing. And what ends up happening is there are people that rely on me to pay them for their services. And they've worked with me for a while. They're part of my team. They're essentially my family. And I can't selfishly go over here to fiction 100%, because that pretty much is going to put a stop to everything that they're able to do. And this puts a stop to the stuff that we have here. So at any rate, all that to say this, that my main focus right now is, at the pace I'm going, I should finish up the Vela series sometime end of January. If that is the case, I should be looking at launching the first novel in April. So that's when I'll really hit my marketing game, probably about a month prior to that. I'm going to really, really hit the ground running, because I'll have an in-between episode after the Vela series. And that in-between episode is going to be my lead magnet for the horror series. So it's going to take place at the end of my Kindle Vela series, but before the post-apocalyptic dystopian layout of this horror sci-fi series. So, yeah, that was a mouthful. I totally understand. You guys were like, oh my gosh, did you just say post-apocalyptic dystopian sci-fi horror? I did. So that's my main goals. So Sylvie, when I get into the new year, I would like to think that at that pace, I should be able to get 3 novels published by the end of the year. 2024 is definitely going to be the year that I can be able to step up and step out as a fiction author. Does that mean I will walk away from YouTube by any stretch? No, I'll still be here with you guys, and you'll be able to follow along in the whole process. Thanks so much for asking that. And other goals I would say is to hit 100,000 subscribers over on the main channel. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers next year on this channel here. It's so awesome to see you guys tuning in. Yes, got to make time to focus on the craft. I've been working with the writing coach for the past 11 months, and anytime that I'm not able to sit down and really focus on that fiction writing and such, it's like me setting money on fire, because I'm working with quite possibly one of the best writers and editors in the world today, in my opinion. You know, she was one of the top Kindle Vela authors. She works with the very top Kindle Vela author. She is a UCLA writing instructor. She's a second-generation author. Jeannie DeVita is an absolute saint and a sweetheart, and I really appreciate her taking time. She tireless amount of time with me and working with me through some of this stuff. And it's really cool to hear a lot of the beta readers that have stuck around with me since day one have said, oh my gosh, like your work is incredibly improved. Like, and that's so flattering. I know starting out, I wasn't very confident in it. And I think a lot of people who ended up picking up episode 1 as well probably realized like, ooh, this is probably not quite as refined as I thought it would be. But it did get better as it went along. Rather than me going back and actively fixing all that stuff, I'm just moving forward, because I can't grow as an author if I continually fixate on trying to make everything perfect before I move forward. Maybe you'll be ready to do conferences again in 2024. Maybe. That's a big maybe. For sure, 2023 is an absolute no. Since I came home and got a nice little sinus infection from 20 books, I'm kind of pretty much turned off right now to any conferences. I would just rather stay home and be safe. Galen says, I've used Puppy before and had no problem. Rather expensive, but they definitely worked and worked well. Nice. See? There we go. Anybody else have any recommendations when it comes to the reviews? Let us know inside the chat. Would you recommend waiting till next year to publish a new project? Annie, I would say, yeah, if you're gonna publish a new project, trying to publish it now, you just don't have enough time to promote it. If you already have it promoted and being marketed and such, yeah, absolutely. But I always tell people, give yourself at least a 30-day running head start for launching a book. That way you can have all of your ducks in a row. Make sure everything is ready, because trying to force something out just because of an arbitrary date is just not a good idea. Go with something that's going to give you a little bit of time to build out to it. And, you know, if that arbitrary date just happens to be something you're like, hey, I like December 2nd, 2023, fantastic, go for it. Like, just focus on that day. But I would say if you haven't already planned it and such, no. It would just be such a rush. If you already have a following, maybe. I wouldn't launch it on Christmas Day. Like, honestly, I wouldn't bother with it. And that's not me saying, like, don't do it because it's the holiday. No, it's more like the sales slow down to a crawl on Christmas Day every year. Dale, what name are you publishing your fiction titles under? It will be Dale L. Roberts, which brings me to kind of a dicey point. Like, a lot of people probably don't realize. I've got 5 nonfiction books I'm sitting on right now, and recently I actually did an APB out for some beta readers and such, and I had quite a few beta readers, a lot of great feedback. I'm able to go through and fix this very first publication. I'll have another 4 publications here coming out relatively soon for beta readers to go through and tear apart. Folks, if you could do me a favor, you're ever beta reader, don't be a dick. I got to read some of the stuff. It's totally fine to give that constructive feedback, but don't attack the person. It's called beta reading for a reason. Means it's not finished. It's not the final draft. So know your role. Calm down if you're a beta reader. I don't know. Some people get really power drunk whenever they become beta readers, and I'm just kind of like, you realize that you're not my developmental editor, right? So please just spare me that. Constructive criticism, welcome. But when you're coming in and being just an all-out jerk about things, sit down. Butcher's response says, Annie, December, November can be a bad time to release a book. And yes, wait next year, but research your genre to know what's the best time for the season to release it. Sci-fi, fantasy, usually summer. Yeah, Butcher responds probably about right. Generally speaking, November to December, not the best time to release. But to me, I think as it doesn't matter as long as you have a concrete date. Because I've released in November, December with no issues. So that's where I probably would disagree on that particular point. November, December has worked out fine for me, but I focus on the date, not so much the time of year. I wasn't foolish enough, though, to publish on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day here in the U.S. because I knew that sales just would be nil. Any other questions? Please fire them away. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. I wish I could have gone to 20 books maybe in the next few years. Yeah, Bonnie, I hate to say this. It's probably going to be my first and last 20 books. Now, that's not me saying any bad remarks on them. Fantastic. Well run. Oh my gosh. Everything was on time. They had so many talks, like an egregious amount of talks, like 11 talks at a time. And I'm not exaggerating. 11 talks at a time. It was enormous. And that was the problem for me. And I think I might have saw like on the recent newsletter, there was 1,800 people there. It's just too much for me. I find it really difficult to get into large audiences. And a lot of people don't believe when I say that I'm an introvert, that I am an introvert. Yes, I have some extrovert tendencies when I don't know, there's certain, they call me an ambivert, I think is what I've heard it referred to as once, but I do lean more towards introvert. I just like to be in my house. I like to be by myself. I like to just function in my little bubble and be in my own little world. So when you place me amongst a group of many people, I can do okay. I can usually do okay. Couple hundred people functioning. I'm all right. You break 1,000 people, that's when I just kind of just close up because I have 50,000 conversations that are firing off all at the same time on my ears for some reason, just try to go towards every single direction. And it's just too much for me, way too much for me. And not to mention that it's just anytime a whole group of people get together, inevitably a good portion of people leave sick. And yes, there were some people who left 20 books sick. And I end up coming home and getting a sinus infection. That wasn't fun. So that's my biggest issue when it comes to large conferences. Go to 20 books. I would highly recommend it. If you don't mind large audiences and you can handle that, go for it. Me, mentally, I can't. I just literally can't. And I can't sit here and justify flying all the way across the United States to stay in a casino, all right? And I love casinos, and not go to the casino and go to these classes. It's just too hard. I've done it twice. I've went to 2 different conferences in Vegas, and it's a fail every single time because all I want to do is go for a walk with my wife and spend time with her and go out and do a little bit of gambling and see sights and have fun and people watch. Oh my gosh. You guys and gals want some inspiration in the fiction world? Go to Vegas. Just sit on a sidewalk. Sit directly on the sidewalk. Don't do that. Sit on a bench. Find somewhere comfortable and just watch people go by. It's absolutely incredible. And I want you to kind of sit there in your head, and this is really something fun I like to do, is you just make up a story of that person as they're walking by. Like, think of it in your head. Don't say it out loud. Good Lord, don't start narrating it. Then you're probably going to get beat up. Oh, SD Houston said, by the way, oh, hang on. I missed it. Dang it. By the way, YouTube content creators, the AuthorTube Writing Conference applications are open now. You can find links on my channel or on the website, authortubewritingconference.com. SD Houston, you can actually drop in a link. You are actually allowed since you have the moderator wrench. What do you think is a good email newsletter open rate? As close to 100% as possible. It really depends. But for authors, typically 30 to 40% open rate. 30 to 40% if you can. I am not really good at email marketing. I know enough to make myself dangerous. There you go. I don't ever want to make anybody believe I'm an email marketing expert. I am definitely not that. I need to get Nick Thacker on one of these days. You know what we should do? We should just go ahead and call Nick right here on the phone right now. I need to get Nick Thacker on here one of these times because he'd be a great person to talk to about that. He had formed Author Email. So it's author.email and made that service. And I can't remember. It's relatively inexpensive. He recommends that because they don't have a free service. He recommends you start with something like MailerLite or MailChimp. And when you build up to about 1,000 subscribers, come over to their platform. They have so much more available for authors. There's no limitations. I think it's might be like $10 or $20, I think, for up to like 5,000 subscribers or something. I don't have an affiliate to this, author.email. Go ahead, look it up, get yourself signed up for the service or whatever. But that's if you have 1,000 subscribers again. And he even recommended it in his talk over 20 books. I really do need to get him on this show. I released my debut novel this November and it worked out fine. See, there you go. I think that's why it's so hard for some writers to give their writing to betas. Yeah, it can. You feel so vulnerable when you give that stuff to people. And then like some people just come, and act like a complete dick to you. I see you there, Tom. But as an educator and as a video host, like Captain Kirk, it is your first best destiny. I appreciate that, man. That's so nice of you, man. I appreciate that. Author Stipe says Book Sirens definitely looks very, very interesting. Am I right? Yes. I believe both my client as well as Sarah had great results with Book Sirens. So I anticipate I'll probably use them for my launch for my fiction book in April. Hopefully everything pans out because originally it was planned for February, but now as I'm just kind of just trying to learn the ropes and get used to the serialized content and such, I know that it's going to take a little bit of a transition for me to move over to novels next. Were they talks or sales pitches? Oh, Bonnie, no sales pitches. Absolutely none. There were some brands and services there that were available, but there was no pushiness at all, ever. Lulu was there. They actually took me out to eat. Like they took Kelly and I out. We didn't eat anything because funny story. So I see Chelsea Bennett from Lulu. Anybody familiar with Lulu? So Lulu Press is great on YouTube. Go follow them. Chelsea, she's just such a sweetheart. And she's hanging out with, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting her name. There's another person from Lulu. She streams on Facebook instead of Chelsea. Any rate though, they were like, yeah, we can't get anybody to go over to this party that we're hosting over at Giorgiano's Pizza. And I'm like, pizza? You have a problem with that? I'm like, sign me up, give that. She's like, really? And she gave me 2 tickets. We got to go up there. It was fantastic. And it was so cool because I didn't get to talk to everybody, but there was all these big name authors that were there. I was like, what are you kidding me here? This is really awesome. And that's when I got to, I hung out with Julie Broad. She was there with her team member, Sarah. Kelly was with me. Chelsea Bennett was next to me. And there was just, Ilana Johnson was there as well. Man, it was such a surreal experience. But at any rate, I was going to the dinner, but for whatever reason, see, Shannon's probably cracking up laughing on her end because she knows how this plays out. I say to Evan, like, hey, let's meet up later. Maybe we can go out for dinner or something like that. Well, I made the mistake of saying to Evan and Shannon, because I invited Shannon, I was like, hey, we should go out and grab something to eat or whatever. Well, I made the mistake. I was like, I'm going to go to dinner with Lulu. They both thought I was going to go eat dinner. So therefore, we were just going to get together and hang out and have drinks or whatever, in which I don't drink at all. Anyway, so I meet up with those two after I'm done with Lulu. I am starved, like famished. We were like watching everybody eating pizza and such like that because I'm saving myself. I'm just throwing back some water, because I'm not about ready to go and eat 2 meals. So I go and show up. Evan already ate. Shannon already ate. We're like, what the heck? So we ended up, they at least were so kind that we ended up walking a little further down the strip, grabbing something to eat, and I stuffed myself full. And then immediately I just crash. I'm just like, ready to go back to the hotel room. Funny thing is we get back and I just got a sudden burst of energy. So we dumped off a couple things in the room, and then we ended up going and playing some games and doing some gambling. I ended up that night. By the time I left Vegas, though, I ended up down. Oh, well. Hey, take care, Vegas Rini. Bye, Dale. Kinfolk are calling. You got it. So a coach has been worth it. Tom, absolutely. Absolutely. It's and I don't want to disclose the amount of money I've invested in that coaching because it has been a significant amount this year. But it has been great for my confidence. In fact, actually, I started going back to every other week because I was doing every week for the longest time. About a couple months ago, we went to every other week. And I told her yesterday, I was like, look, I feel like my production slowed down a little bit since we weren't meeting up on the regular. And the production that I was putting through there was needing deeper edits and more fixes and things like that. So I told her, I was like, hey, could we go through this December every week? And she was totally fine with that. So I'll be working with her. So yeah, I anticipate I'll be at least working with her through 2024 as well. It's a great education, to be honest with you. I'm literally working with the UCLA instructor, person to person. So I highly recommend anybody that's interested in getting a writing coach and working with somebody who is deeply embedded, not only in the self-publishing business, but also in traditional publishing. You get such amazing insights from a fantastic person in Jeannie DeVita. She's been wonderful, Tom. So absolutely, if you're looking for a writing coach, go for her. What's the best length of time to wait between publishing books and series? Don't want to be George R.R. Martin. You know what? The best time would be if this is going to be the easier for me to say than to actually do, because since I'm a new fiction author, I don't know if this is going to be possible. But I would recommend looking into every 30 days if you can. If you're using Amazon as your platform every 30 days, keep it coming. All right? But you need to think realistically to yourself. How much can you realistically handle? I would say 1 per quarter if you can. 1 per quarter if you can. The reason why I say every 30 days is you're tapping into the Amazon algorithm. And by staying fresh and relevant and getting more products and more discoverability on Amazon opens you up to more opportunities and grows your brand and grows your reach in due time. 30 days also is that nice little lovebird window, if you will. This is where Amazon absolutely loves you when you're a new author who's publishing their new product onto the platform, and they actually showcase it in a separate bestseller list for new releases. And that is essentially the best-selling books that have been published within the last 30 days. It's a way to kind of showcase books that wouldn't otherwise get that, because there are some perennial sellers out there, some ones that stay at the top of the charts almost indefinitely. And so this gives them another opportunity and a chance to actually be served to a larger audience. So, yeah, if you want to do that, and I would recommend great resource. Craig Martell's got a book out called Rapid Release Strategies, I believe. I've got the audiobook, great audiobook. Recommend you get it. Rapid Release Strategy. Oh, was that? No, it wasn't. No, I don't have the audiobook of that one. It's another Craig Martell book, so strike that. But I did read it for sure. So get that one on ebook. Fantastic read. Craig Martell is one of the founders of 20 Books. Oh, yeah, Bonnie, that's a good point. Just asking because I've been to conferences where I go, you're paid to go to one big sales pitch for a bigger investment. Nope. 20 books is not that. No, no. Yeah, 20 books is not at all like that. I'm trying to think. Inker's Con was really good as well. Like, there was no pitches whatsoever. In fact, if I even recall, too, Alessandra Torre, who put together Inker's Con, she had invited me as a speaker. I believe one of the explicit instructions was, do not pitch people. I didn't. Like, literally, I was just like, here's where you guys can find me. Peace, deuces. That's it. I'm out. Like, I'm hired to come in and do something. If you tell me I don't do it a certain way, well, I won't do it that certain way. So I figure if somebody needs to learn any of those type of things, they go and find that out. But yeah, I know it's usually those self-help like seminars. You go like, get a free ticket, come on in, bring a friend and get $10 off a beverage or whatever. Like and you show up and then it's just one giant pitch. Kelly and I have seen our fair share of those type of things. Ugh. We actually went to one of those rich dad, poor dad ones. And yep, we ended up buying. And then we went into the event and then they upsold us even more. I was like, I'm good. I've write about 50% right now, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. Oh. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except when it's adapted for fiction. There you go. I've chatted a bit with David Gogren about email marketing. He's really nailed it down, honestly. Yes, David's great. Great resource to follow, Galen. I can't say enough great things. I said great 3 times in a sentence. It was that great. How do you feel about low content puzzle books? I love the fact that you said low content puzzle books. It's not medium content. Stop making up words, folks. Medium and high content, that's just rubbish. Right? There was no content and there was low content. You don't need to add a bunch of other verbiage just to make yourself sound special, all right? I love the fact that you said low content puzzle books because puzzle books are still low content books. All right. So how do I feel about them? I think it's fantastic. Why ask why Budry? So I think they're great. Puzzle books are an excellent way to, bring in a nice little supplemental income. If you do puzzle books, just study the market, figure out what's selling. What do readers or buyers, they shouldn't be called readers, what do buyers like the best? Focus on those low reviews and those high reviews for each one of those. Find out what it is that they're missing in the 1-star reviews that you can be able to implement in your own books. So, yeah, low content puzzle books all the way. Who's your favorite sci-fi horror writer? Oh, man. Dude. That's going to be a tough one right now because, unfortunately, I'm just now getting to know sci-fi horror all over again because I took many years away from reading and such. But if you were to if I were to separate the two, if I just say sci-fi alone, I would say for science fiction alone, Isaac Asimov was one who I used to read a lot as a boy. In my teens, I shouldn't say boy, but boy compared to now. Maybe Ray Bradbury. But as far as horror, hands down, Stephen King. Next is going to be Dean Koontz. I've found a few independent authors that are great at horror. Fantastic horror writers. There was one of them, Wallace Henry. Wallace Henry put out a decent series. Fantastic covers. Oh my gosh, the covers are just beautiful. But it's Wallace's only series, and it is sci-fi horror. It starts out great. I say it's a 4-star book for sure. 4 out of 5 stars. 5 stars, man, you got to blow me away. Like, honestly, you literally need to be absolutely flawless with your stuff. Most instances, it'll be a 4-star because typically there's going to be a typo or an error or grammatical issues and things like that, or maybe some developmental issues. But beyond that, though, great. It was the second in the series, though. It kind of lost a little bit of steam, and by the third in the series, I just felt like, from a developmental standpoint, like they just ran off the rails, and I just lost interest in the hero they had in it, the protagonist. The protagonist, I fell out of love with him. I don't know, but it was great writing, though. That was one of the recent ones. I've got a couple more in my Kindle Unlimited library, and also I dug into Jonathan Mayberry. I got to see four of Jonathan's talks. He's good. He's good. I started reading one of his books. I think it might have been his first one, to be exact. That was published, I think, maybe 13 or 14 years ago, and it was a vampire-esque story, and I just don't get into vampires. I don't know what it is. I don't find myself scared about things like that. I find that as a sci-fi horror author myself, I like trying to create something that's not reinventing the tropes, not reinventing the wheel in that regard, but I like to create new scenarios. I like to create new scenarios from old situations. Meaning that I created this monster and this creature within my universe that only exists in my universe. And yeah, you can probably see that it embodies certain things from certain creatures over time. So like someone's like, oh my gosh, that the creatures remind me a little bit of critters. I was like, but the critters were spiked and black and small and like, you know, and they actually had their appendages about them, you know, but I could kind of see how that worked. But yeah, I am really trying to study a lot more about sci-fi horror. I think that individually, though, I kind of already told you, though, when it comes to science fiction and horror, for sure, hands down, Stephen King every single time. Right now, I'm actually about halfway through a 45-hour audiobook of It for Stephen King. And it's been fantastic so far. I work out to it. Crazy, right? All right, author Tom says this. How important is it for us to learn how to say no to opportunities? Or I think authors are people pleasers. Ooh, Tom, that's a great point, man. I mean, this is a prime example. Reason why I had to kind of step down from the podcast for a minute or two was I had to say no to opportunities in that avenue. I had to say no to things. I needed to sacrifice one thing so I could kind of take care of another. And I'm glad that I did, because it got me to reassess what I was doing. It was something I addressed in a community bulletin and community tab. One of my last broadcasts, actually, I believe it was my very last one that I did, was covering Kindle Vella. And I'm, you know, I've already said my apologies. I've made my peace with it. It wasn't a thorough piece as it should have been. And for that, I apologized. And we're moving on with it. I don't feel like I've said anything that was particularly wrong per se. In my mind at the time, all I saw was what I saw. So yes, it was inaccurate. So was it wrong? So yes, there we go. I've just kind of contradicted myself. Either way, taking that time away made me reassess things. That episode was a prime example of me just getting sloppy. And it was me rushing to try to get things done. And that's when I said, you know, I need to take a break. I need to take a break. And it's been a nice break. We'll return back to it in the new year. And hopefully resume as scheduled. It'll probably be more focused on the self-publishing news than specific items. But we'll see what the new year brings, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Are you a poker player? Yes, but I'm terrible at it. I'm really bad. I can't bluff anybody. And honestly, like, I'm horrible at it. So am I a poker player? I can be, but I probably shouldn't. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Coming down here. Do you ever miss the health genre? No, not at all. I actually, I really just, that part of my life is kind of done and over with. I don't look at it in a bad light, but I don't anticipate ever going back and doing anything with those books. Some people said, why don't you sell the rights to them and things like that? No, guys, I just don't. I don't want to. Because I sell the rights, it comes along with my likeness and it goes out there and someone can kind of change those things. Nah, I'm good. So yeah, I don't plan on doing it. Now, do I stick with working out and exercising? Yes, I do. I am very consistent about my workouts. I typically take 2 to 3 days off per week. When I go into the gym, it's typically anywhere from about 20 to 60 minutes at a time. It's intense. I get in, I get out. It's a very personal time for me too as well. It's very therapeutic. Helps me manage a lot of my anger issues. Do you have any recommendations on how to learn about other cultures for more accurate stories? Specifically, I'm interested in various Asian countries, Japan, China, Thailand. What I would say is I'm not a cat. Find that country and visit it. That's probably going to be the very first thing you're going to want to do. Deeply entrench yourself in that. Now, you're probably going to say, okay, Dale, I don't have that kind of money. I get it. That's totally fine. Focus on that one area and study it. And then here's one way you can be able to do it is find a YouTuber that covers that type of stuff and reach out to them because YouTubers love to talk. Case in point, and explain to them that you're getting ready to write a novel on such and such, and I would like to sit down and ask you for some questions, and I'd be happy to buy you a cup of coffee or something like that. And chances are very likely they'll say, hey, great, that's fantastic, and then ask away. Find the person that you need to learn from and learn from them. So that's probably going to be the best way, and ask lots of questions. So for instance, if anybody's reading my sci-fi horror series, Infestate, shameless self-plug here. In Infestate, the mall security guard is actually a retired Green Beret. Now, he's based off a real character. I had run into the issue when I'd first sent out the beta reads to my readers. The character was kind of like magically like Superman power and like, wait a second, you went from arthritic man to all of a sudden like Bruce Lee. What happened here? And so then I just had to take a step back, and that's when I reached out to my friend Thomas Bradley, who's a Green Beret himself. And then I was able to sit down. I spent about an hour the first time just chatting with him. And then about another hour or 2 hours, I've chatted with him even more about being a Green Beret and knowing some of these things. The funny thing is, there's such small details, such minute details in it that it almost, to most people, wouldn't even matter. But to me, I believe it puts a lot of more credibility in what you're saying. So I totally get where you're coming from. I am not a cat. That's such a funny name. Any rate is reach out to that person, reach out to them and ask them, like, sit down. Thomas is such a saint. Like, the guy is such a sweetheart. I always love chatting with him anyways. I'm scrolling down here. Okay, I might have missed some questions, folks, because my chat keeps bumping forward here. I see there's 19 of you hanging out. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. And hey, by the way, I do want to mention as well, there is the channel memberships that's here that's going to allow you exclusive access to behind the scenes footage of Book Rescue. Originally, I was just going to make that available to tier 2 and tier 3 and up. Nah, it's available to everybody. So the channel membership start out about $10. Goes up to $5, then it goes up to $10. You get a few different things based on the different levels and such that you go ahead and join to. You can do that directly below this video here. There's a join button. If you're watching on mobile, I think I've got it in the description. You can just go and click on that link and it'll take you over and it'll show you all the full instructions. You're not going to get charged by clicking on the link. You just got to look at it and see if it's right for you. There's a video where I explain the whole thing. But yes, channel memberships are fantastic. It's a great way to kind of keep this channel afloat. I do appreciate that, each and every single one of you. And one of the ways I give back, behind the scenes footage. I've put out hours of footage over the past couple of months. Yes, the podcast might have taken a little hiatus, but the channel members still got some of the content, and I can plan to continue doing that as well. And oh, by the way, if you are subscribed to the Self-Publishing Hub, my new video on demand service that's also available on Apple iPhone in the Apple App Store, you also get access to that footage too. So it will get launched on the same day on the application as it does over here on YouTube. Tom says, Kat, well, I just started my YouTube channel. In fact, I'm going to do a broadcast this weekend. Nice. Good on you. I'm not sure people are ready for it, though. I'm pretty no BS. Tom, I am going to tell you this. There was an old friend of mine, and it's very unfortunate that it was this year that he passed. He died. Name's Walter Wyburn. Walter was just such a fantastic guy, and you guys ever want to get the full story about Walter and how personal it is to me, I'll go over to Instagram. There is an old story where I do the unboxing of a silver play button. All that to say this is, Tom, is don't discredit yourself, because Walter felt the same way about himself when going over to YouTube. And in April of 2020, he got a video that went viral and he ran with it. He ended up getting over 100,000 subscribers. He was pulling in revenue that he never even imagined he would see in his lifetime. And the man, I tell you, changed for the better. It was just so amazing to see him succeed on another level. So, Tom, I hope your no BS approach to things brings in a fantastic following, and you get that vibe that creates that tribe, and you just grow this massive community. And if I stop hearing from you, I know that you're building your community over there, and I want you to do that. I hope you succeed on YouTube for sure. Go for it, buddy. Hi, my name's Dave. Hey, what's up, Dave? How you doing? Hey, Dale, hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you so much. I'm getting a little tired. I'm about to release my book on December 13th. Congrats, by the way. That's so fantastic. What's the name of it? You got to tell us. Come on. Don't hold back on me here. Have you had issues with InDesign exporting to EPUB file being weird in Kindle? I don't use InDesign. I'm sorry. I think the people that I've used for interior formatting, I don't know that they use it. No, maybe Archangel Ink did use Adobe InDesign. I'm pretty sure it was InDesign. So I don't think so. So I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know as a fact, but I've never had issues with my EPUB files, but that's typically because I'm hiring out or I've done it myself and I don't use InDesign. It's just way too complex. Is there a place where you can find the explanations for all the different genres and book them? Oh, and bookmark them? Oh man. Dude, there's like, if you're thinking Amazon, there's like 19,000 different categories. Different category. And that's not me exaggerating. I think it is 19,000. Yeah, that's why I use Publisher Rocket. Because Publisher Rocket, you can just dip right into the categories. It's just so much easier that way. Back to the question about the EPUB file being weird and such. I would just say try to drop that inside Discord. That would be a great place for you to join us over there. Ask that question there because there might be somebody who is experienced with InDesign. Because see, I'm not. So I just dropped the link to Discord. Just go on in there and join in there and ask that question there. And that's a great place to join, by the way, folks. Been contemplating on also beginning a YouTube channel, but it definitely seems to be a must after building a certain audience of readers in order to establish a more personal contact. Author's type, if you feel it's right in your heart to go for it, do it. I would just recommend that when you do start your channel, think about what purpose you're going to serve there. Why are people coming there? Not just because you're an author. Like, what type of value proposition do you have to offer? And then think about probably building out, like, say, 6 videos in advance. So that way, when you go to launch your channel, you got stuff for people to go back to. And then after that point, just release consistent content. Weekly's good. Monthly, minimum, I would say. But even if you're just utilizing it once in a while, it's better than nothing because at least your readers have something maybe they can go visit and see a different side to you. Do you prefer Apple or Microsoft for publishing? I've done both. I'm going to go with Microsoft on this one. I'm going to go with Microsoft. Only because that's just where I started learning from day one in technology. Apple, I didn't get my first Apple Mac. Actually, it's my first and only MacBook Pro. I still have this since 2015. My mentor at the time told me, he was like, throw out your laptop. It was just, I had a laptop that just constantly crashed and it just used to upset me and then ate my homework. And I was so mad. And I went out and bought that MacBook Pro. That thing is It's a beast. Its keyboard doesn't work anymore, so I just plug it directly into my PC, and I just use it just as kind of like an extra source. Lots of great health intel, though. Okay. Dave said, A Kidney Donor's Journey of Faith and Obedience. That's the subtitle. Oh, what's the main title? Intertwine. Ooh, nice. I like that. That sounds like fun there, Dave. Congrats for sure. Bonnie says, my jokes aren't funny. Did I miss your jokes? I'm sorry. Thank you for the advice this evening. Hey, no problem. Absolutely. If anybody has any last minute questions, please let me know, or forever hold your peace. Let me just go ahead, and I'm just going to shamelessly promote two things here. I already talked about Story Origin, folks. All you got to do is just go over to dalelinks.com/storyorigin. Get yourself access today. And let's see here. Also, I'm going to close these out because they don't pay for any of that stuff. Also, I mentioned before, if you go over to dalelinks.com/miblart and use the code DALE10, you can get 10% off your next cover design. And my preferred low-content book publishing tool, BookBolt, is also a fantastic resource for you guys. Go check out dalelinks.com/bookbolt. Use the coupon code DALE20, all caps, by the way, for my coupon codes, because you got to shout it in order for them to pay attention. DALE20, it'll take 20% off every month as long as you have access to it. So there's that. And then last but not least, hey, did I tell you guys about my new place, the Self-Publishing Hub? Yeah. Go get my new video on demand service, the Self-Publishing Hub, where you can pick up services that include, services that include these series. How about that, Dale? The DIY Publishing Force for Beginners, leveraging Amazon keywords, no content book publishing, coming soon's the affiliate marketing, and monetizing your brand is also another categories that we have here. We also have the advanced self-publishing course. I just uploaded Secrets of the Perma-Free book. You can get this for $9.99 per month. Sorry, the Black Friday deal is over, folks. $9.99 per month. That's $10 per month. You can start it up anytime that you like to, and you can disconnect if you'd like to as well. It doesn't matter to me. Apple App Store. You can go pick that up over on Apple. It will be available, hopefully, on Android this coming year, so that way all users can be able to access wherever they want to, whether it's on desktop or over on mobile. So selfpublishinghub.com. All right, I'm going to come back over here for the last questions here. And if you haven't said your last questions, you might want to say them now because I'm getting ready to bolt. I'm getting hungry. I'm ready to eat my shoe. That's how hungry I am. Do you recommend doing book trailers for a release? Yeah, do it. Absolutely. So long as it doesn't cost you a lot of money and a lot of time for you to go ahead and put it together. BookBrush has got a great tool. I feel like I'm promoting like another thing. Just look up bookbrush.com. I'm just going to skip the affiliate stuff. But they have a book trailer. I think they call it the Book Trailer Creator. That seems right. They've got a basic version and they have a more advanced version. And they have some templates that you can just go ahead and just drag and drop, and then you're good to go and such. But yeah, if you can spare the expense, go for it. I would recommend that you upload it to YouTube, get it optimized, have it to where it has good keywords involved for your particular genre. Make sure you put inside the description the actual like blurb for it, the book description, any reviews that you might have. Of course, a direct link to where they can purchase it. Other one here, by the way, don't forget, guys, authors don't let other authors, friends don't let friends just use an Amazon.com region-specific link for promoting their book. Get a universal book link, all right? Universal book links, you can get that for free through Draft a Digital service. It's called Books to Read. And that's books2read.com. I get paid nothing for that because it's free. It's a free service. And all you got to do is you just drop in the link to your book, and they spit out another link that when someone visits that, they will be given the option to go to their specific region. So if I see Kindle and I click on that and I'm in the UK, it'll send me to the UK. If I'm in Australia, it will send me to Australia. So that way, when you're giving links, people are going to the right store so they can purchase it. Because if you're giving, let's say, a US-based one in .com to somebody who lives in, say, Brazil, they're going to click that link, but they can't purchase your product. Okay. They're going to go over there. Oh, it's not available in my area because they got to go to Brazil if they're down in Brazil and so on. So get that universal book link put together. So yeah, put that inside your description. I would also recommend that you take that book trailer and put it into Author Central, upload it there. Make sure it's getting a little bit of, space there. Embed the video on your website as well, and maybe put a write-up about it or something. I don't know, some additional stuff. It's a way that you can kind of backlink your video so it gets a little bit more love. It may not get more than 10, 20 views. I'm just going to be very realistic with you unless you do something absolutely out of this world. But if it doesn't put you out too much as far as time and money, do it. Absolutely. Yeah. You can get some cheap ones, by the way, on Fiverr for like $5 and just give them a very basic blurb and some cover shots and you're good to go. Thank you, Dale, for all the great advice and encouragement. You got it, buddy. I continue to acknowledge you in my book. Hey, man, that's so nice. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. If you guys have book trailers, get in contact with me. Ooh, yes. Get a hold of Jonathan there. For sure. And by the way, Jonathan hangs out over inside Discord of all places. So make sure that you ping him on over there. Let him know what you got going on. If you got a book trailer that you want to share, he was really cool. He went and sat down and read the first episode to Infestate. And great job, by the way. Fantastic, fantastic work. But yeah, he went and read an entire chapter. Like, that was awesome of him. And so he's really wanting to help out other indie authors. So yeah, take him up on that offer. Folks, my voice is going out on me and my water is almost empty. And I'm hungry. It's a Saturday night, time for me to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you for 5,000 subscribers. If you want to do something like this again and ask me anything and we just riff with each other, let me know. We can always do something like this again. I just can't do it too frequently on the Saturday nights. If you guys keep showing up like this, though, I could probably be tempted. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and roll the beautiful bean footage. See you guys soon. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.